Hi, welcome to my YouTube page again. Thanks for visiting if you're already an existing subscriber. If you're new to this page, please do like, comment, subscribe, and put on your notification for videos of this kind so you can be aware when I drop materials or videos of these sorts that will be providing you insight into how NHS function, particularly what it is in the NHS for you as an international student, and where do you stand in terms of your job prospect and opportunity. And also by putting on your notification, you will be able to see events that are coming up anytime soon. So what am I going to be talking to you about today? I will be discussing what are the key factors that actually could be influencing your success within the NHS, and why are you still struggling to land a job within the NHS? Is it your fault, or are there things you're doing wrong, or is this something that is beyond your control and you need to re-strategize? Yes, there will be a combination of both factors that need to be looked into, but I will be discussing each one of them at individual stage level and how this one of them actually could be taken into consideration when you're making your decision in terms of the direction of play. So the first thing I'll be looking at is, you know, how is your own decision and the role you have to play having a key impact on in terms of the outcome of your interview, particularly your NHS interview, irrespective of the banding. So what are the key factors that are actually beyond your control? Any one of you that have attended NHS interview, or if you're still new waiting for your first interview with NHS, NHS interview in many ways can be very intense. Those that have had that experience will tell you, especially with a lot of interviews now coming up with assessment, particularly those of you that will be going for position of medical secretary, you will realize that you have to undertake series of typing assessments where you'll be given series of audios of meetings. If you're going for PA roles, you'll also be given series of activities or um, schedules, diaries to reorganize, to arrange them in order of priority. Those of you that will be going for the medical secretary role, you'll be given series of meetings that have been undertaken, either previous MDT meeting. They will ask you to transcribe it, and there will be series of medical terminologies that will be coming up in those meetings. And if you're not familiar with them, you will struggle, particularly with the spelling. And also, there are numbers of expectation, particularly the words per minute you have to achieve, most importantly, which range between 60 to 70 words per minute. So those of you with impediment when it comes to your typing, it's probably best to start understanding how these will play a key role, because you can perform excellently well in your verbal interview, and when it comes to the typing test, you could actually perform poorly, and these are areas you need to be looking out for immediately in order to close the gap so you can exceed expectations at both levels. So looking at this thing particularly, what are the key factors that are actually outside of your control? I will be looking at the three key factors that I am fully aware are outside of your control. One of them is the fact that any one of you that is attending NHS interview need to be prepared for the fact that you will be facing serious competition, and those competitions are really, really intense in many ways. So who are you competing against? Number one, you're probably competing against internal staff. So depending on the banding of the role you're applying for, if you're probably looking for higher banding role, possibly you're looking at your band 4, band 5, band 6 position. Chances are there are internal candidates within that department or within the trust itself that are also eyeing that opportunity as part of their own career progression, and you will be competing against them. So you have to come up excellently good when it comes to this level of experience, particularly when you're competing against internal candidates. And these are people that know the trust in and out. In some cases, some of them work in the department. If they work in the department, surely they know what's going on in the department. They know the challenges they're facing. They know some of the key achievements, which are areas you might not have insight on. And so you are competing against internal candidates or existing NHS staff from different hospitals. Perhaps they're relocating to that area and they are looking to maintain the status quo. Perhaps they want to maintain the same banding of role they're currently doing. and because of relocation to that area, they probably go for that kind of opportunity. Or in some circumstances, they're just moving as part of their own career development. They're moving from their band three to band four, band four to band five position. So they already have NHS experience without any questions. They are bound to know the NHS system. They're bound to know some of the key languages when it comes to NHS. They have key understanding of the policies. They have key understanding of areas of challenges within the NHS, particularly in that role, and how they can come in and make a difference using their existing NHS experience. So you yourself, as an external candidate with little to probably no any NHS experience, you will be coming up against very steep competition in the sense that you have to come up excellently good. You have to achieve beyond expectation when you're delivering your answer for you to be considered as an ideal candidate in that respect. So the competition is very, very high when you are attending your NHS interview. So you will have to exceed expectation, which is why it's always encouraged for you to research about the job, research about the people that are also interviewing you, and most importantly as well, research about the department. Go online and read about the staff survey for the hospital. Look at the department, what are their latest achievements, what are the challenges they're facing. At least that will then give you an opportunity to be on par with those individuals that I've just mentioned right now. And the second challenges you will also be facing as well, you have to be facing you will be facing challenges that will be coming up in the sense of the fact that you probably have no any NHS experience. So what does that actually mean in real world? So there are things within NHS that the questions they will pose to you that you will have little to no knowledge about. So there are various NHS HR policy, specific NHS HR policy when it comes to managing sickness, managing attendance, managing poor performances, and also managing conflict within your team. There are numbers of processes within NHS in terms when it comes to management of these areas of challenges, which is very bespoke, quite unique in many ways to NHS that is not really the same when it comes to private sector. And a lot of you will be coming up with the same experience you have in the private sector to approach this question. You know, some cases I've read myself where I've had to coach people and their first set of answers is about diving into disciplinary meeting. That is not always the case when it comes to NHS. Your first line of meeting is always an informal meeting with this individual. An informal meeting is always very crucial to making sure that you have a clear expectation set out on both sides for this individual, which is part of your NHS policy. So having a clear understanding of what the policies are, how you manage challenging situations as an NHS staff member is always very, very crucial when it comes to an area that you will have little to no knowledge of. So this is also another area that is going to be a challenging area for you when it comes to delivering your answer in a way that actually meets the criteria of what they're looking for. And lastly, as well, what are the other challenges that I think you also will be encountering as part of your application process? Now, we've discussed the two key areas where I think your challenges will come from. The last part, which is very, very crucial, which a lot of people do not actually understand when it comes to putting forward your application as a new entrant into NHS, and in some circumstances with no understanding of how the system functions at all. When you're coming into the NHS, you're coming into a new organization you have no knowledge of. They will ask you questions about what are the challenges you think you will face in this role. And this is now a common theme when it comes to your NHS interview. And the challenges they are trying to bring close to you in this area is that, first and foremost, you will be coming up against various administrative challenges. How do you know who your stakeholders are within the trust, external of that trust as well? Secondly, as well, how there's various unique NHS applications, IT system, very, very bespoke clinical system that they use. What are the criteria for the usage of these applications? How do you use them? How do you ensure data breach is prevented? So all those things are also another area of challenges you need to cover effectively. And when it comes to one key area, this is about trying to get to know your staff members. Who are they? What are the challenges they're facing? How best can you bring in any knowledge or experience you have from your private sector How can you integrate those knowledge and experience into the role you're coming into? So those are the kind of challenges you will definitely face. And these three key things I've mentioned to you, from the fact that you're competing against existing staff members or someone with NHS background. Secondly, the fact that you will be finding yourself in a position whereby you don't have any NHS experience, you don't know how NHS policy works as such. So trying to understand those policies is also another challenge. And lastly, the challenges you will face in terms of understanding the NHS IT system, understanding the stakeholders, who they are, what are your relationship, what kind of relationship you need to have with them in order to deliver the right service for your department, and who are your staff members you'll be working with, what are the kind of relationship they expect you to have with them. So all those things are the three key challenges you need to be fully aware of when you're putting forward your application and when you're being invited for an interview. And all these things are major factors that will influence the outcome of your interview in many ways, because they will want to see to a large extent that you have the capacity to overcome these challenges, at least at a surface level, whereby your managers will support you in terms of your integration, but not being able to, not requiring micromanaging you or having to give you a full-time shadowing for a whole 3 months in order to let you know how the process functions effectively. So those are the kind of things you need to be fully aware of. And you should also be aware that if you constantly failing your interviews or you're experiencing unfortunate outcome at your interview, these could also be some of the factors that you've not been able to address effectively at your interview, that is affecting it and is affecting the outcome of those interviews. So, what are the three major things you need to do in order to get yourself ready for your success story? Number one, focus on the key areas of interviews within NHS. Tell us about yourself, your knowledge about the department, your experience when it comes to delegation, managing priorities, deadline management, and also knowledge of IT systems. And one key interview questions I will mention to you today, when it comes, which is something I've read a lot of, when it comes to delegation, I know a lot of people usually go to the very straightforward answer of I delegate to people based on their capacity. That answer, frankly speaking, is almost redundant now. And also, that answer actually sounds to be ineffective when it comes to delegation, because what you are effectively trying to say in here, if you delegate to people based on their capacity, is that you overutilized certain staff members and underutilize other people. So basically, you're penalizing others because of their skill sets and their hardworking attributes. What you should be looking out for in here is the delegation based on equalization of role, and you delegate to people at best through guidance, motivation, and through mentorship, which allows them to, which gives you the opportunity to upskill them, and likewise as well gives you the opportunity to develop them so you can achieve equalization of assignments and task and activity within the department. Therefore, no one in the department ever feel overutilized or underutilized. And as a result of that, you're able to build a full team, one team where objectives are fully understood and shared out across the board. The second thing you need to also be aware of is that in your interview, they will want to see the passion for the job. So when I say passion for the job, what are they actually looking for when it comes to passion for this role? Now, there will be things around their trust values. So their trust values could be about compassion, respect, dignity, all these things. If you go into the job description, you will see element of the job descriptions that requires you to show this. Now, if you have a role whereby a patient pathway coordinator, for example, or an administration officer, or a business support officer, or a supporting supervisor, something of this kind, you will have direct line responsibility for staff. You will have encounter with patients in challenging circumstances. And some of those encounters will not be pleasant in many ways. So they will want to hear from you how you intend to demonstrate their trust values in terms of compassion, respect, listening to the patient, showing them respect, providing them a listening ear, documenting their challenges, working collaboratively with senior managers to address all the challenges that is being brought to your front, and how you as an individual could make a difference in terms of your engagement with this individual are some of the key things they will be looking out for at your interview, which is part of the passion for the role. And lastly, which is a very, very crucial point. When you're putting forward some of your points, you also need to be mindful of the fact that never, ever, ever, and this is very crucial because this has always been my experience with some of the guys I've worked with. And when there's been a change in their approach, they've been able to see a successful outcome from it. Never exclude the job description from your conversation. So at any point in time, when you're trying to discuss anything relating to your answers that they've asked you, so for example, you've been asked, what background do you have in terms of IT application? You're talking about your knowledge of Excel, you're talking about your knowledge of um, Access, SharePoint, you're talking about your knowledge of Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. There will be one or two lines in the job descriptions where they will talk about utilization of SharePoint for distribution of files to senior managers. There will be areas where they talk about Excel for action log. So all those things, you need to always refer back to the job description. And how do you do this? You need to be very familiar with the job description in the sense of you telling them, having gone through the job description, I'm very much aware that part of my responsibility will be about managing document, distributing meetings, and with my background and knowledge in utilizations of various Microsoft 365 applications, I'm confident in my ability to effectively write reports and make sure these are effectively shared out utilizing applications such as SharePoint, Access, and also with my background in effective utilization of various IT applications. I'm confident that once I have been shown, I'm confident in my ability to assimilate any of the trust clinical IT system and also adhere to all the necessary guidelines when it comes to data protection and also taking action to prevent any breaches. And by working in accordance with the Trust Information Governance Principle, departmental or local trust policy when it comes to data protection, I'm very much confident in my ability to adhere to all the necessary policies in this area and all the necessary actions that needs to be taken to prevent data breach. So by effectively demonstrating all these and reflecting it back into what is written in the job description, either one or two lines from the job description, you then position yourself well to be seen as a candidate that knows about the job, you know about the trust, you know about the department. And effectively, you are then put in a pole position to be the ideal candidate for the role because you've gone beyond expectation in terms of researching about the job, researching about the department, and knowing what goes on in that department and what actually the job descriptions entail. So, from this point of view, if you're able to effectively do this, you are likely to assure yourself of a successful outcome. And individuals that have done this can also give you that testimony that these has contributed to their success story, particularly in landing the role they've gone to interview for. So again, this is another major video trying to discuss and tell you and give you insight on step-by-step guide on how to pass your NHS interview and what are the key things you need to do to get yourself to the position whereby you can get that successful outcome that you desire heavily. So thank you so much. I hope you find this video beneficial and I will really encourage you again, do subscribe, like, comment, as part of your appreciation. If there's any content or any discussions you would like me to make regarding any particular subject regarding NHS, please do drop your comment in the comment section and I will pick it up there um, anytime soon. So thank you again. Take care. Bye.